Hello, Internet. This is Red Angel Sophia, and I am a Jewish, ex-Catholic atheist. Yes, I know that this is quite a mouthful, but it is an integral part of my personal story, and an abridged version of it at that. More importantly, it has been made clear to me that this is a story that needs to be told. So, where do I start? I will start with what all this means in the literal sense. First of all, I am an atheist, which means that I am not convinced that any god or gods exist, or making allowances for certain movements such as pantheism, at least not anything that I would see fit to refer to as God. As a matter of fact, there are certain versions of the God concept that I am convinced do not exist, including, but not limited to, the God concept of just about every major theistic religion that I know about. Then, I am Jewish in that is both my ethnic background and my cultural background. And I am an ex-Catholic in that in my journey toward the realization that the case for God is unconvincing, I spent some time in the Catholic Church. A significant amount of time, as a matter of fact. A solid 7 years, and then some additional time in an in-and-out cycle before finally making a clean break. And all this is part of a story that really needs to be told. People need to hear how the Catholic Church was able to draw me in, despite not being raised Catholic and having absolutely no family connections to pull me in. People need to hear why, even in the midst of and after my gender transition process, it was so difficult for me to leave, despite the extremely toxic messages the Church's magisterium sends to LGBTQ folk, and once again, no family connections to keep me in the church. Most importantly, perhaps, though, what people need to hear is what this means for the atheist skeptical community as a whole. What this shows about how we collectively are failing people who are trapped in religion, people who might have an easier time exiting religion if we were not failing them. And people need to hear why it is in our interest to do better. And hopefully, people hearing all this might lead to a discussion on how we can do better. Anyway, I was raised in a Jewish family, a secular Jewish family, but one with strong cultural ties to our Jewish heritage. I attended enough Hebrew school to be ready when it was time to have my B'nai Mitzvah. But most of the Hebrew that I only know because both of my parents grew up in Haifa. Despite having parents who viewed the existence of God as being metaphorical at best, I grew up in East Tennessee, and as such picked up the attitude of religiosity from my environment. Though I did not pick up the pervasive Christian religion, at least not yet, and tried instead to express my more religious attitude in a manner more informed by my Jewish background. No, I did not live in an Orthodox Jewish manner, but I was obsessed with reading whatever I could find about Jewish tradition, and for a time carried a chumash with me everywhere I went. By the way, in case you do not know, a chumash is a traditional Jewish lectionary, a bound book copy of the Torah divided into the traditional weekly portions of reading, and which generally also includes the portions from elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible that go along with those Torah portions. Of course, well before I finished with high school, it became clear that I was not finding anything to fill my void in the Jewish framework of my cultural background, so I started looking elsewhere. My journey that it took me to get to where I am today of being unconvinced that a God even exists and convinced that the God of the major versions of the God concept does not exist, that journey was a long and arduous one. It took me through many religions and through inquiry into still more. But none of these religions were as alluring to me as Catholicism, nor as difficult for me to leave when I realized that I needed to. Not even Rabbinic Judaism, which, unlike Catholicism, I do have very strong ethnic and cultural ties to. And I also do not think that I was into any of those religions for as solid a block of time. I was Catholic for a solid 6 years before I began my gender transition, and a solid year after that, a total of 7 solid years. In addition to that, afterwards, I was stuck in a vicious in and out cycle with the Catholic Church for a number of years until I finally was able to break away from it entirely. But what was it that drew me in? Not just to religion, but that particular religion. Many former Christians turned atheist have a simple answer where their stories are concerned. That is just how they were raised, how they were indoctrinated from early childhood. And yes, it often is hard to leave a religious framework that you were raised with and indoctrinated into your entire life. But that is not the story in my case, because again, I was not raised Catholic. In my case, there had to have been something else drawing me into the religion. And then, when it was clear that the teachings of the magisterium were wreaking significant havoc on my mental health, it still took a while to leave, and even longer to make a complete break with the religion. What was this allure of Catholicism to me? And could there be other would-be atheists who are also trapped in religion for reasons that have nothing to do with being raised that way? And are there ways that the atheist community can, or even should, do a better job at being there for those people? Of course, all that is too much to discuss in just one video. This video is going to have to be the start of a series. But I hope that in this video, I have at least been able to give you a rough outline of the story that I hope to explore more in future videos. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and enjoy future videos of this series. Please like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment in the YouTube comments area. Also, I've set up a new Ko-Fi page where you can keep up with all the goings-on of this channel, and if you want to, even donate, as it does take both time and money for me to run this channel. You can find a link to my Ko-Fi page in this video's YouTube video description area. And until next time, see ya!